Hey y'all, welcome back to Fusioneers. Today we're going to be learning how to make a cube using the corner rectangle method. Alright, and this is our cube from last time. This is the center rectangle cube, so we're just going to make a new design from that. We're going to click Command S, which is a shortcut for save, and then we're going to call this one cube corner rectangle. Alright, and as I mentioned before, this is not the best way to make a cube. I think the best way is the center rectangle method, which we already discussed in the other video, but this is just to kind of teach you different ways to make the same object. And I think they'll have some good tips for the future in this one as well. So go ahead and make your origin visible. We're going to click Create Sketch and select this bottom plane again. And then this time we're going to use the rectangle 2-point rectangle, which is, I call it the corner rectangle. It's kind of a similar thing. You'll see why. And you'll see here that the shortcut for that is R. So again, the letter next to the text here, R, that's the shortcut. So we're going to click on that. What most people I think would do would be to select the origin and then just kind of draw out to the right like that. And this will work fine. We can definitely make a cube this way, but I personally like to try to make things kind of centered around the origin. So I'm going to undo that with Command Z, and I'm just going to click R on the keyboard, which is our shortcut. And now we can draw the rectangle again. So I'm just going to kind of draw it kind of haphazardly like that. All right, and now I want to make this centered around this origin, which this is kind of why the center rectangle is better in my opinion, because it's a lot less steps, but the 2-point rectangle is very useful in a lot of situations. So it's good to kind of know how to use it. So I want to make these sides 1 inch long or 25.4 millimeters. So I'm going to click Dimension, and then we're going to make it 25.4. And now, kind of like the last time, I'm just going to make this other side equal. And so that is equal to that. Now you can see that we have a 25.4 millimeter square drawing, but it's still blue, which means it's not fully constrained. And the reason for that is because if you click Escape, you can move this around. So it's not fixed to the origin yet. And what we want to do is try to put it, where the origin's there in the middle. And so I'll show you 2 ways to do that. There's probably a lot more than that, but I'm just going to show you 2 quickly. So if we click Dimension, and then we're going to say from here to the origin we're going to say 25.4 divided by 2. Okay. And so now we see that it's in the middle here, but it's not centered across this plane. So now we're just going to repeat the same thing again. So we're going to click D for dimension on the keyboard. And then we're going to click here. And then we're going to select the origin. Click down here, and then we should be able to type in a number. We're going to select 25.4 again, divided by 2. And so now we've snapped it to the middle. And that works, and I think that that's probably the most intuitive way, just from a beginner standpoint, to achieve this. But I'm going to undo this really quickly and show you kind of a quick trick to do that. All right, so now I'm going to show you another way to center this around the origin here. So we're going to go up to Create, and then we're going to select Line, and then we're just going to draw a line from here to here. And then we want to use this line to pin us around the origin. And the way that we're going to do that is we're going to select midpoint. And if we click this line and then the origin, we snap to the midpoint. And what's interesting is you don't have to do the lines on both sides. If you just use this coincident with each corner and then find the midline, then it finds the center point of the square. It also works for rectangles if you're trying to find kind of the middle between this side and this side. So I think that's a pretty useful trick if you're trying to find the middle of a rectangle or square. It's just a really quick way to do that. One thing I want to mention is that this is a regular line. It's not a construction line. So let's just go ahead and try to extrude it, and I'll show you what I mean. So if we click Finish Sketch, and now we click E for Extrude, which is the same thing as clicking here. So we're just going to click E on the keyboard. And then you'll see that when I click here, it only selects this triangle because we divided it with our line here. And I can easily resolve that by just clicking on the other profile, right? And now you can make your cube like you would, 25.4. And so now we have our cube. But to be efficient, you really don't want to have to select both triangles, right? So what we want to do is to be able to just select this circle all at once instead of having to select two triangles. And the way that we can accomplish that, if we click cancel, let's go back into our sketch, right click, and then click edit sketch. So now that we're able to edit this sketch, we want to make this line into what's called a construction line. And what that does is basically just serve as a guide, which is what we're using this as, right? Is a guide to make it centered around the origin. And so the way that we do that is we select the line, and you'll see how it's blue, and then come up to options under the sketch palette. And for line type, we want to select construction. It's this icon here. So if you click construction, you'll see that our line now turns into this dashed line. And so that means it's a construction line. And if you'll click finish sketch, now if we go back to edit feature, you'll see that we just have to click into the square here. And so as I mentioned, this is just a guide essentially. So think of this as just something helping you draw. It's not something that you can extrude off of. So if you remember before, there was two triangles that we had to select. Now we just select the single square, which is what we want to do. And we click OK, and now we have our cube. So that is how to make a cube using the corner rectangle or 2-point rectangle method. Thanks for watching.